We are April and Scott, creators of NaughtyGym.com, and this is The Naughty Gym Show.
For years, we've been fitness and nutrition coaches to thousands of people through our commercial gyms and online platform. We've also spent nearly a decade in an ever-evolving open relationship.
This show brings together two of our biggest passions, fitness and sex positivity. Our mission is to maximize the physical and mental health of anyone brave enough to explore relationship structures that run counter to societal norms.
We have demolished our old ways of thinking about relationships, and from that rubble, built a life full of happiness, adventure, and vitality. And now we want to help you do the same.
So hop on the treadmill, start the show, and let us teach you how to never stop playing.
All right, welcome back to the Naughty Gym Show. And today we are going to talk about a very potentially sensitive subject, and one that's not easy to define, pin down, or get a good emotional handle on.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and do that a little bit.
But first, I am your host, April, and this is my live-in dog walker, Scott. In case you didn't know, that's the introductions for today.
Yeah, that's right. And that really is what I have become, I think. Yeah. Really love having to walk this damn dog all the time.
Oh, you love him.
So we're getting really close to Be Better at Being Bad 2, January, what is it?
4th through the 11th, 2025. There's still some rooms left. And this is a full takeover. So anybody that is booked for that week is considered part of our Be Better at Being Bad takeover.
Yeah, I know that's confusing.
Yeah, it is. We've gotten a lot of emails saying, we booked, can we still be part of your group? And we're not a group. Everybody on the resort is considered part of this takeover. So we choose the theme nights, we plan the parties, we have full control over the itinerary at the resort.
Yeah, normally most weeks at Hedonism, you'll have 3, 4, 5 different groups there, all sort of vying for different spots and pool parties and where they get to kind of run the show. But in a full takeover week, and I think there's 6 or 7 through the year there at Hedo, the one event is the one event going on. We've got presenters and educators and experts from all over the world coming in to talk to you. Some of the people that have gone to Hedo all their life are like, I don't know if I want to do any educational work while I'm there to party, but
it's more edutainment.
Yeah. They're it's not just going in and sitting and listening to a lecture. There's really, and some of them are very X-rated, maybe triple X-rated.
Yeah, like how to be better at anal or better face sitting, how to give a better blowjob. Yeah. But there's also going to be, there's the same, pool parties and games and pool games and catamaran cruise and all of the other fun things that you would come to expect at a resort like that. So it's not just different because we're bringing in these educators. It's different because we have a lot of new cool things planned.
Yeah, it's same stuff plus a bunch of extra fun stuff.
Yeah. So if you are concerned about whether or not you would feel welcome in our group or if you would fit in, the answer is yes. And yes, you will fit in and you will be welcomed. We have a very inclusive group. You don't have to be, we call this the fittest part of the lifestyle, but you don't have to be like fit as far as what people see aesthetically, what society would consider fit. It just means that you need to be open-minded, that you can improve your life in some realm, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, relationally, whatever that may look like, that you are open to improving.
Yeah, we promise you come to this, you're going to have the time of your life, and you're going to leave most likely with some tools that's going to make this non-monogamous journey a little bit easier.
Better. Meet a lot of new sexy friends.
So April, what's been going on? See, we both have our new Naughty Gym.
Yeah, our new Naughty Gym Pride swag, because October 11th, which is in 2 days, is National Coming Out Day. And we have both come out. And then this Sunday is our Pride Fest here in Huntsville that we'll be going to.
And we both just completed, I don't think we talked about either of these. I know we haven't, the one I just did, but we both just completed our own different type of competition that we've been working on for a while.
Yeah. So I committed to doing a bodybuilding competition, a figure competition in February, very end of February because I officially started training for it the last week of March. And so I hired a coach and I made a goal because I'm very goal oriented. I like to have a prize or a carrot that I'm working towards. And I also like to experiment with my body. So I've run marathons. I have done powerlifting. I've competed in CrossFit, and I did a bikini competition and fitness competition in my 20s. I wanted to see if I could do that, something similar again.
And how do you feel?
How my body responded.
How do you feel about how you did?
I'm very happy with how I did. My goal was to get ready for this competition. I wasn't as concerned about what happened on stage. I just wanted to see if my body if I was able to do it. And I really enjoyed the process.
I think you enjoyed the process of you getting ready for that more than I enjoyed the process.
You did, because there's a lot of abstaining from parties, a lot of not drinking, a lot of not partaking in other things that might give you the munchies. You love to go see movies. And so I think we only saw 2 movies in like that 8 months because I had such a hard time saying no to popcorn.
I was not supportive of your request to go to the movies and not get popcorn.
Right. Or you were also not supportive of not snacking in bed.
Well, I tried to limit that. But you did great. And if anybody hasn't seen your pictures, I know they're on our personal social media accounts, maybe even on Naughty Jim's social media.
Yeah, I think so.
So she did an incredible job and looked world class.
Yeah,
I was proud.
It was a good experience. And so now I'm in a refeed phase where I'm ramping my calories back up slowly, monitoring my hormones to make sure they stay balanced. And I'll give myself a couple months to kind of take a break. And then I'm going to start building again because I'm competing again at the end of July.
Which I hope I do a better job of helping you with that.
Well, now you know what to expect.
Yeah, I know it. And I just competed in my first actual pickleball tournament in, 2.5 years. And I knew I had gotten better. It had been intermittent how much I'd gotten to play, but I was excited because I thought I should do better. I played at a higher level in this tournament than I did in the last one. Played mixed doubles with another lady my age. I think she's exactly my age, 52. So we got to play in the senior division in mixed doubles, and we did pretty well. We got bronze, but this was a deep field, a lot of incredibly talented players, and she and I had not gotten to play very much together, but we ended up getting bronze, came in third. We both felt good. I don't know that we felt awesome about it.
Yeah, you guys will play really good together if you get some more practice time because she's really good and your personalities mesh really well.
And then the next day I got to play in the geriatric singles division, the 50 and up.
It really wasn't because
you were 45 and
you were one of the older guys in your division.
Yeah, I think there was one guy my age, one guy older than me, and the rest were all younger.
And you absolutely annihilated them.
Well, so
especially the last guy.
The last 2. Well, yeah. So I still, in my heyday of playing tennis in college and even on as an adult, I used to I was at my best in the tightest situation. It seemed like I played better the more it mattered.
Yeah.
And I have not found that gear in pickleball. I play great in practice, and I go out in a league match or even the tournaments I did a couple of years ago. I remember how nervous I was to the point you and I went up and got a couple of shots of vodka just to see if it would calm me down a little bit. I was experiencing that again in this tournament, but not quite to that level. And in the singles, I had to play 5 matches. The first 3 matches, I was really nervous, but I was able to play well enough to win those fairly comfortably. Mm-hmm. The 4th match was against the highest rated guy in the tournament, and we were playing a game to 15. I was down 8-3, and we had to change sides. That's the midpoint of the game. And from that point forward, I won 12 of the next 13 points.
That was a really good game to watch.
I won that one 15-9, and then the finals, or the last match that I had to play, I didn't lose a single point. So that midway through that second to last match, something clicked for me, and I just relaxed and played fantastic.
Well, I can tell you were nervous going into it because you said in the car on the way there, I'm just going to have fun today. And I was like, oh, okay.
I've never just had fun at any competitive event. So anyway, so we were both pleased with the way we did. And those things are important to us, maybe not to everybody, but to us, to give us something to latch onto, to have that goal
to look forward
and
to.
to look forward to.
Well, and there's little accountability. Like you had a partner that was waiting on you, that was depending on you, at least for one of the days of the matches. And so it forced you kind of, I mean, you enjoy doing it anyways, but to get out and practice and do your workouts and kind of stay on point. And you were kind of the week of, especially watching like a little bit more what you ate.
Yeah, and you had a great coach that was holding you accountable, that she was doing a great job. And we've been coaches for many, many years, and we still know that we need that help ourselves.
Yeah. She kind of has my personality as a coach, which is more of a no bullshit, I'm going to shoot it straight. And she does that with me, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. And it was mostly the job she was doing was just holding you accountable to the program you guys created. And we do the same thing for people as well online. You know, you want to hire a coach, we'd be there to help you with all facets of it, but it's important. So
absolutely.
All right, enough of that. Let's kind of get on to what we want to talk about today. And this is a topic we've been wanting to talk about for a long time. And we kept kind of pushing it off, I think, because we just didn't have the words that we needed to maybe express how we feel about this topic. And I'm still not sure that we do, but we're going to work through some of this and just try to talk through it between the two of us and let you listen in on our thoughts towards each other about this subject. But what we want to talk about is this idea of catching feelings in the lifestyle, in a non-monogamous relationship. Now, if you're polyamorous, you know, you want that side of the equation. But that part of it is not always in the swinger community or the lifestyle, as we call it. In fact, some people are actively saying, we are just in this for the sex. I'm not trying or am not going to catch feelings.
Right, yeah.
All right. And fine. And that's great. And that's exactly what
I lived in that camp for a minute.
That's exactly what we said when we first got into this. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but we have changed a little bit the way we feel about that. And we're going to try to work through some of that. But I want to know what you would describe or how you would define the phrase catching feelings. What does that mean to you? When you hear somebody say, we don't catch feelings, what is it that you think they mean by that?
I don't know that I've ever heard anybody actually say those words.
Well, I've seen it on dating profiles.
Well, yeah, I mean, in dating profiles, but people I don't think use that language.
Okay, let me re-ask it a different way. There's an element to swinging when it comes to emotions that sometimes scares people that the physical act of sex doesn't.
Right.
All right. So what is that thing that is the scary part that people are often trying to avoid in the lifestyle?
So like when people say, well, I have sex, but there's no emotions involved. There's nothing. I think the scary thing is what society has taught us about love. When a partner hears, you know, say you came to me, you were like, I'm starting to feel something, or I need an emotional connection with somebody in order to have really great sex. At first, that caused such a visceral reaction in me because I was like, what do you mean you need to love somebody else? Like, are you going to fall in love with somebody? And I think society has taught us that there's only one kind of romantic love. Like they assume or expect you can love your children all differently, but all the same, right? Like
to the same
amount, but you love them differently.
Same intensity.
But you can't possibly do that with another human in a romantic way. And so when people hear, I need emotion, an emotional connection, their brain automatically goes to that love that you can only have for one person. That, you know, if you give that away to someone else, then that takes away from the other person. Like there's not enough love to go around.
You're talking about the exact part that I've struggled to try to put words to for a long time. I've actually been working on my part of our keynote address in Be Better at Being Bad in January. And this is something I wanted to tackle, but I've struggled to find the right words. So I've looked up some psychological research about it. There's no agreed upon definition. If you think that's hard to imagine, then try to come up with your own definition of love and then present it to 3 or 4 people and see if they agree with you. But it's not easy to do. And so there's been a lot of different frameworks presented by different psychologists or thinkers to try to give therapists a model from which to work through. And we're going to talk about some of that. And I think it's really helped me put some teeth into these ideas later. But I did want to say that I think it's important that because you and I have finally been very open with each other about this, that we have evolved, or no, we don't like that word evolve. Our preferences have changed in our non-monogamous journey. We still love meeting new people, and if that connection feels right, taking it to the bedroom.
Right.
It doesn't happen as much for us anymore as it used to, because we've become more picky in the sense that we really focus on trying to find that connection first.
Quality, yeah. And when we say we don't use that word evolve or progress, like we've progressed to here, there's no winning like finish line. The pendulum can swing one way and then it can swing back the other way. Yeah. And so it is just a change of perspective or
it's just where we are now.
Preference, and that can change tomorrow.
I wanted to frame this conversation by saying that we have some friends, a couple. They live in another state, but there's somebody that we get to see with a lot of frequency. Mm-hmm. And they've become obviously more than platonic friends, mm-hmm. because we play with them. And we have grown very close with them. We haven't, until recently, I asked you a question. I said, would you say that you love them both? And you said yes. Yeah. Now, that may mean you love them like a friend, mm-hmm. or it may mean there's more to it than that. And I suspect there is more to it, because I think for me, there's more to it. The depth of that loving feeling comes nowhere near to what I feel for you. We have lived through some wars together, mm-hmm. Being outed as swingers, almost losing our business, being some of our dirty laundry in a way, being put out there in the public, and us having to deal with that on a local level, mm-hmm. where people won't talk to us, or, all that stuff. And yet we've come out of it. Our relationship is stronger than ever, and we love each other deeply. So nobody's going to be able to come in and in a weekend or 6 replace the depth of that intensity.
Right.
But with this couple, I think we both are comfortable saying that we love them, mm-hmm. at least to some extent.
Absolutely.
And we're not afraid of that, because we trust them and we have this connection with them. I want everybody that's listening to know that's the perspective we're coming from. We don't judge anybody for how they do it. We sometimes have more physical only connections with people at a party or something. Right. But I think we have got to the point where we prefer these deeply connected experiences.
But I will say, we have that with this couple. We're not necessarily looking for that with other couples.
Right.
Because I think it's very, honestly, I think what we have in our friendship is very rare, if we never played with them again, and very special. And that's just hard to find that 4-way connection. But I don't want people to get the wrong idea and think either we are monogamous with this other couple, because we are not. We're not even monogamous with each other. Or number 2, that we are only looking for this deep connection like we have with them with other people, because we don't really do that comparison game. Like, we try to take each relationship and friendship and see it in its own space.
I think it's fair to say I don't have any concerns if you look me in the face and say, I love them. I don't think you do if I say that to you.
No,
however, I can imagine you saying that to me about somebody, and it could be concerning depending on who that person was, right? And if I told you that about somebody. So what is the difference? And then we're going to start getting into all of this catching feelings from a psychological perspective. But why is it that we're okay with that couple saying that, but can imagine how it would really bother us in other cases?
I don't know. Well, obviously there's a trust component to it. We have, so much trust in this couple, and we've built, a history, like we were talking about earlier with you and I. With someone else, like, let's say, for example, we are open to separate dating. You go on a separate date or a few separate dates, and you are really into this woman who I don't know. And after several dates, you come back and you say, I think I'm falling in love with this woman. That I can see causing me some real discomfort, mostly because I don't know her or have a trust built with her. But again, one of my things that I like about separate dating is that I don't know the woman, and I don't And so that would just be something I would have to work through and go, you have full autonomy over your emotions. I believe that we have so much love. We're able to love more than one person at all times and rely on the fact that we have full transparency. And I said this before. I think if you started falling for someone or developing feelings for someone, I would probably know before you even knew. And I would definitely know before you told me. Because I asked the questions. You wear your heart on your sleeve. And so it's easy to see that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. So, well, why do you think, okay, for us, at least in this one instance with our friends, we view this emotional connection and the connection, the way we're connected to them in all ways, whether that's emotionally, physically, whatever, as a big positive. Mm-hmm. It's been great for our life. Why do you think so many people, including us, currently sometimes and used to be all the time, why did we try to avoid that emotional connection?
Programming. It was just, I think, how we grew up, the culture, how we were taught in church that love means this, and it can't be multiplied to other people in that way. So I think it's just kind of deprogramming and deconstructing those belief systems and really questioning, like, why should it bother me that you have more people in your life to love? Like with our grandchild, you hear about grandparents like being jealous of the other grandparents and stuff like that. I want as many people in that child's life who love him as possible. I don't care about their background. I don't care what they do. As long as they love him, I want as many people in his life that can love him. Same with you.
Well, but wait, hold on. Because I agree to an extent, but it's very easy to imagine wanting people to love Fat Baby, which is what we call him, because it's difficult to imagine where we lose out in that scenario. If you fall in love with a guy, I don't really know, you're going out, you've been out on 6 or 7 dates, and you say, look, man, I'm really starting to develop feelings with him. I know that I would have some of those concerns too. I think for me, and I'll be interested to hear what you think from your side, that my only real fear at this point, there used to be a lot of fears, but now would be, can I lose you? Mm-hmm. Could this guy replace me? And now I'm on the outside looking in. That's my only fear. I think.
Isn't that always a risk in non-monogamy?
Yes. But I think it's an elevated risk, with separate dating, because it shouldn't be, but I feel like I lose some input and control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't see what's going on. And if I can see it, at least I have it may be a false sense, but I have a sense of security in that, okay, she's giving him way too many goo eyes and is talking to him way more than she's talking to me. I gotta shut this down.
I think you go into something like that, there's got to be some kind of boundaries, especially if you have a primary partner, right? And so you would set things in place where, if I'm spending too much time or you're spending too much time with someone and I'm feeling neglected in our relationship or vice versa, I think we're smart enough where we could navigate something like that, where we go, look, we need to make sure that we're spending really quality time with each other before we have anything to give to other people.
Yeah. And I think for me, I can now comfortably say that if I knew for sure you weren't going to be ignoring me or lose feelings from me, if another man loved you and made you feel special, maybe in a different way that I do, that all other things being equal, I'd be incredibly happy about that. And I couldn't have said that years ago.
Look, I love this other couple, our best friend couple. I message them once a week, see them every few weeks. Like I don't even want to text you. I'm certainly, and I love them.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've got nothing to worry about.
All right. Well, let's talk about what this love stuff means, because the difficulty sometimes is when
unless he wants to fly me to Paris.
Okay. Well, I'll ask him and see what he says. You did get offered that once.
And you denied it.
I know, but I was much less secure in our relationship.
For our listeners, Scott, I was asked by a man who was in an open relationship with his wife for like 26 years, and they both had separate girlfriends, boyfriends.
They were basically relational anarchists.
Right. And he asked a very serious question: if he could fly me to Paris with him for a week to go shopping. And Scott said no.
Yeah.
I'll never forgive you.
Even though I want to say, I think I would say yes to that now.
I wouldn't even ask you. Are you kidding me?
You'd be gone.
I mean, you'd say yes. I would call you from the plane. I'd be like, I'll be back in a week.
Well, pick me something up while you're over there. That was back then. That was still fairly kind of early on.
Yeah, if someone asks to take you on a shopping trip in Paris, you better go. Don't ask me. Okay. Don't.
Look, we've grown. Look how much we're so much different now. All right, so we want to try and put some teeth into these ideas of love to make sure that when we say things like catching feelings or, falling for somebody, that we have if we're not using the same definitions, you can say I'm catching feelings, I get mad because I think you mean one thing and you meant something totally different.
Well, and that's the danger.
Like flirting was one
right.
People often define differently.
Well, that's the danger of people saying, I only have sex without emotions involved, are setting themselves up for failure, because emotions there's such a wide array of emotions that are felt during sex: passion, joy, lust, happiness, excitement, hopefully not sadness or disappointment, but sometimes. But those are all emotions. Unless you're just a robot, or maybe you are, paid sex worker who can detach emotionally. There are emotions involved. And when you are a couple and you're both saying, I'm only having sex with no emotions involved, and then you become friends and develop friends with benefits. And now it's hard to reconcile that, because what do you say to your partner? Well, I've said no emotions involved. And when your partner says, well, do you like them? Or how do you feel about them? Now you have to stick to what you said, no emotions involved, or just be transparent and be like, look, I'm feeling something, which could set you up for
unless you're
issues.
What's the word? Unless you're a psychopath, you're not having sex with anybody without emotions. You can tell yourself that. You can tell your partner that. If you think that that's true, you're fooling yourself. If you don't think that's true, then you're just lying to your partner. But there's always emotion involved. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're looking for a commitment or you're attaching huge amounts of meaning to it. Mm-hmm. But there's passion and emotion. Or you're having shitty sex, because the best sex is the most emotional sex, in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about
your
that.
Opinion.
But that's what all the psychologists that I didn't look up on the internet, I think.
You only looked up people to support your
I think that's what they would. If I had done my research, I think that's what they would have said.
Okay.
All right. So listen, there's this, and again, we talk about how hard it is for psychologists to define love. There's been multiple attempts. This is one of them, and it's fairly well accepted as a decent model to work through, but it has its flaws. Mm-hmm. But it was just one that made it easy to work through some of this stuff. But it's by an American psychologist named Dr. Robert Sternberg, and it's called his triangular theory of love. And he theorizes that love is based off three different domains. Mm-hmm. There's intimacy, or emotional, the emotions that you feel during love. Commitment, so that's your decisions and how you're going to handle the situations, your commitments and things like that. And passion, that's the physical aspect. So you got your emotions, your cognitive, and your physical passions. And those can be combined in different ways. For instance, you can have intimacy and commitment, but no passion. Mm-hmm. So you can have that emotional connection and a commitment to them. And that is what he defines. He uses these three components.
As a dead marriage?
Yes, that's exactly right.
I was going to say, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So he combines these, all three, some just two, sometimes just two of them, sometimes just one of them, sometimes all three. And then they become the 7 different kinds of love. One of them is called empty, which is, like you said, it's a relationship that has a commitment component to it, and you're emotionally connected, but you've lost that passion. Liking somebody is what he says. If there's no physical passion or commitment, you just like somebody. It's like a loose friend, like a distant friend or something.
I like a lot of people.
Like them, but you're not having sex with them, and you're not committed to anything with them. But what I want, and there's 7 of those. I'm not going to go through all of them. Infatuation is where you have the compassion component, the physical attraction, but you're not committed to them. All right. But I want to talk about a couple of different things that will bear on this conversation. One of the 7 types of love, as he defines them, is called romantic love. Mm-hmm. That's when you share a physical passion. There's a physical connection, attraction between the two of you. And you have emotional intimacy. There's that chemistry, I think, is like you like to talk about.
Yeah.
So you have the chemistry, you have the physical connection, but there's no commitment.
Yeah.
All right. So that's how he defines romantic love. And I think sometimes when I've tried to figure out, well, what are we talking about when we're talking about loving somebody? Well, when we describe our friends that we've talked about, the couple that we're so close with, I think that's a good definition of what we have.
I do too.
Them. There's tons of chemistry and tons of emotional connection.
Right.
But we have no commitments to them.
Right. And I think, too, the word romantic, just like the word love, for people can be a scary word, because when people think romantic, the first thing I think about is like date night with roses and wine and, chocolates. And we're not doing that with our friends, right? But we've got passion and we've got, I know myself, a couple years ago, I would get that visceral reaction. Like when you would say, I need to have an emotional attachment to somebody to have better sex. And I would go, in that word romantic, had you used that word romantic, then I probably would have felt that same way. Like he's going to buy her roses and slow dance and chocolates and like, which
I don't even do.
You don't even do for me, which is fine because I don't like that kind of stuff. But slow dance, yeah, I do. But I think this is spot on. But it's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people to think in this way.
Yeah. Well, I think so too. I'm just thinking that for us, that's a great way of defining it. Because you can, I love this little system where I can put the pieces together and go, okay, well, this is
right.
clearer.
Well, there's also, we've struggled a lot lately with putting into words what exactly it is. What are we? We don't consider ourselves poly. We don't consider ourselves swingers. Where do we fit and what is it? And so we've had so many conversations, like if there was just a word we could think of, but when we're able to put words like that, like this is what this means, this is what this means, it feels better.
Maybe we're romantic swingers. Okay. All right. So that's one of them, is the romantic love. And that's how he defines it. It has 2 of the triangular components in it. The big one, the one that you and I have, is called consummate love. Mm-hmm. And consummate, I'm just going to read it. Consummate love is the goal for many when they envision marriage or a spousal partnership. This kind of love includes all 3 domains of the triangle: commitment, passion, and emotional intimacy. That would help me be able to say, I love this other couple, yet still distinguish why it's different from the way I love you.
Right.
It's because I don't have, all we ever have with him is loose commitment. Oh, we're going to meet y'all for a movie tonight.
Right.
But there's no ongoing commitment.
Right.
It's just, do we like you and want to continue being around right. you? But we don't sit down like when we did our marriage vows. We made commitments to each other. There's nothing like that.
Right. Yeah.
So while the emotional component and the intimacy, the physical components are very similar, we don't have that commitment to spend our life with them,
right,
like we do with each other.
Though I tell them they're stuck with me for life.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and you call her your wife. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's consummate love there. I just don't know it. But at least with them, none of this stuff scares me.
Right.
To be able to say that I love them in that way feels very comfortable.
Yeah.
But it would be more difficult, like you said, if you've gone out with this guy and start coming. But I want to get to the point. It is a goal of mine I feel like that my hesitancy to feel compersion for you if you were really feeling that for another person that I didn't really know or have a connection with, is a emotional insecurity of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that if you don't do things the way we do, you're emotionally insecure. I'm just telling you how I feel about that situation for me. And I want to be able to work through that because I want to be able to enjoy anything that makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if our relationship is as strong as we think it is, then there's nothing that you would ever purposefully do to hurt me. So if you're having joy and experiencing happiness, then it shouldn't be anything I'm worried about or scared about.
Sure.
But how do you feel about that distinction between, would you agree?
Oh, I totally agree with
sense?
that. Yeah.
Okay. So now will probably be a good time to take a little break and talk about real quickly another event we've got coming up, and then we'll come back and finish this conversation.
Yeah, so November 16th in Huntsville, Alabama, we are hosting a bar crawl. So we'll have all of the details soon on our website, on our social medias. But if you are local to the area, it's going to be a casual meet and greet. We're not selling tickets. It's a free event. Huntsville has some really cool bars. So it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, just come and have fun. And, we'll probably meet for dinner somewhere beforehand, but
yeah,
there's no rules. It's just show up and have a good time in downtown Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, back to the topic here. Let's say you're a couple and maybe you're fairly new in the lifestyle, or you just don't feel comfortable with any of this emotional connection bit. And your partner comes to you and says, I'm starting to have feelings for these people. How should a person who is not interested in pursuing or allowing the pursuit of those types of feelings, how should you handle when your partner comes to you and says something like that?
Very gently. You should be their soft landing for conversations like that. First of all, hopefully you and your partner are very transparent about everything anyways. If you're not, then your partner already probably has some trepidation coming to you to tell you that they are feeling these emotions for either this couple or one or the other, the man or the woman. Handling it gently, being transparent with yourself. Maybe you're feeling some emotions about it as well. I mean, that can be a deal breaker. That's okay. If you and your partner have set that boundary in place, look, we'll be friends, but once you start to catch feelings or feel that like, oh, I'm falling in love with this person, if that's too scary for your partner, then whoa, you need to put the brakes on and have conversations with the other person as well, because this is a real human with real feelings who maybe they're feeling that way as well. And it may not be a bad idea to have those kind of conversations early on with your partners, not just your primary partner, but the ones that you're playing with too. If your intentions are, this is our hard line, once we start to feel emotions, or if any emotions come involved, that's too scary for us, and we're going to have to cut this relationship off.
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge this can happen to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you go into it saying, I'm not going to develop any feelings for people. You don't 100% of the time get to control that.
Right.
It just sometimes can happen. And if you and your partner have committed to this no feelings pathway, and then one of you comes to the other one and says, I think I've started to develop feelings, the temptation will be to get mad as if your partner has now done something wrong or unethical. But that's just not the case. And that's the danger of saying we don't have emotions when we're involved with other people. You cannot control
you cannot control the emotions that you feel. You can control how you handle them, right?
Sort of. That was one of the things I looked up. That's the next topic here that we're going to cover.
Like what you do. Like if I can be angry, but I can't punch a hole in the wall or, punch a kitten. So I can control that.
Well, you could punch a kitten.
If I fall in love with somebody, I can't necessarily control that, but I can control not texting them every day and not reaching out to them every day.
If your partner comes to you and says, I think I've started to develop some feelings, the temptation will be to get mad at them for willfully violating an agreement you had. And that's just not likely what's happened, especially if they're coming to you because they view you as so trustworthy that they're willing to come talk about a situation that is difficult and something you have both been as a unit trying to avoid. Mm-hmm. So you need, like you said, to be that soft landing spot. So let's talk about this issue of whether or not you can control your feelings. Right? Sometimes people think they can completely control their emotions.
Right.
That if I choose to not have an emotional connection to somebody I'm having sex with, that's easy. I just tell myself I'm not going to have emotional connection with them. But that's not easy to do. Mm-hmm. And you can't confidently know that you can do it.
So if a partner comes to their spouse and says, I'm falling in love with this person, then their spouse would get angry at them and say, you should, we agreed we weren't going to do that, and think that you chose this, there's going to be a lot of blame.
Right, yeah, like it could feel like that your person who agreed with you to not catch feelings, in air quotes, has now chosen to catch feelings.
Right.
When it's not necessarily
a choice.
Choosing. And it is then up to us to decide how to react to them. Okay. Now, once you have that emotion, it might be possible to change it. It's just not always easy, according to what psychologists and therapists will tell you. And they said there's generally recognized about 5 ways to try to go about changing an emotion that you're having that you don't want to continue having. Mm-hmm. So in this case, it would be like falling for somebody in the lifestyle. Expression suppression is one of those. You're trying to suppress how a person would normally express that emotion they're having towards that other person.
Right.
You've gone out with a guy multiple times. You're starting to feel for him. You're going to typically call in your friends. I really like this guy. You're going to tell your closest people. You're going to think about them a lot. You might send them some kind text. You start to suppress those expressions of that feeling,
right,
as an attempt to get rid of the feeling.
Right.
There's some potential negative consequences to trying to do this. Suppressed emotions stay in the body and begin to create disease, from pains to immune disorders. It also takes a toll on your mental health because emotions always come out, whether in an acceptable outburst or acting in a passive aggressive way.
Right.
Same psychologist that wrote all these other things said this. All right. Not to say you can't suppress them, but there's some potential dangers with that. Another way that we tend to try to change our emotions is called cognitive reappraisal. It's where you're just literally trying to change your thoughts. You're having self-talk. You're trying to talk yourself out of feeling what you do. Some people are better at that than others, but it's never easy. All right. So just trying to literally change your thought and the way you feel about things. It's almost that fake it till you make it sort of syndrome. Also can be difficult to do. Another one is distraction, where you just try to distract yourself from that emotion. You do other things. You focus on other people. You just try to distract yourself from having anything to do or having the thoughts about that person. Right. Not always easy to do.
Which is a good tactic.
Yeah, but it's not easy to do. I mean, imagine when we started falling for each other.
Yeah.
Trying to distract yourself away from thoughts about me. Right? Not easy. And according to this psychologist, this is called avoiding behavior. Avoided behavior suppresses your unwanting feelings, resulting in a buildup of emotions that can manifest into anger, frustration, resentment, isolation, and many other unhealthy mental states. All right. Another tool people use, situation selection. This is where you literally don't put yourself in situations that can manifest whatever feeling you're trying to avoid. So don't go on another date with that guy. Don't go out. Don't go to the party where these people are going to be. Don't connect with them.
Which is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think those are smart boundaries to put in place if you're wanting so I don't think all of these are bad things.
They're not all bad at all. It's just some of them have a higher stress.
Risk of consequences, maybe.
They're more difficult.
Physiological or mental distress.
The point here is it becomes very difficult to change your emotions once you have them. So what should we do in the case where we do start to fall for somebody and we don't want to pursue that?
Not any of those 4 things.
Well, right.
I mean, what did the psychologists say? I would do probably a combination of all 4 of those. I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to suppress some things. I mean, if I don't want my primary relationship to blow up over this, I'm going to do all of those, and I'm going to do them hard.
Well, so here's one piece of advice that this psychologist gave. The first step is to acknowledge and accept the emotions as real.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you need to accept that yourself, and hopefully your partner allows you to voice those.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge part of this process. If your partner or you cannot be supportive of your partner to go through this process, because I imagine this is going to feel, if you start to feel love for a person and now you're being told you can no longer love them, that's a grieving process that you're going through now. And so if your partner can't support you, or you can't support your partner through this, I would question the foundation of your relationship.
Yeah, there's certainly some issues there that need to be addressed.
Yes.
They do suggest creating physical distance.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, that's kind of an obvious one. You're not going to go back out on dates or go see this person again, or put yourself in a situation that's going to obviously flare these feelings of connection and love back up. Focus or prioritize other relationships. Mm-hmm. So your primary, or just some other friends, or, playing pickleball more, going to the gym, whatever, but prioritize the other relationships and things that you do in your life. Focus on self-care. Maybe you need to talk to a counselor or friends, or drink a lot of alcohol. I don't know.
That's probably not the best.
Okay. And just like you just said, allow yourself time to grieve the loss of this romance, this relationship.
Yeah.
And your partner's got to let you do that.
Yeah. I know I had a relationship that ended when I was very young, and I grieved that relationship for probably 10 years, way too long, because I didn't have a healthy way to grieve through it. And I didn't have anybody in my life to help me handle it. But it did feel like the death, like I legitimately lost a human life. And so love and the loss of love can be a very, very tough thing, even if you didn't think that it was that serious, or, whatever.
Well, just to kind of wrap this up, if you come into the lifestyle with the idea that there's never going to be an emotional connection to anybody you have sex with, and that you can control that process, maybe I shouldn't say this, and there's going to be some people that probably disagree, but I think you're setting yourself up for failure and bigger problems than those problems needed to be.
I think the more open you are, and the more conversations that you have around this subject with your partner, because we've had a lot of conversations about this over the last 8 or 9 years, the word love, and what does that mean? What does that look like? And what if we've talked through scenarios. Imagine you go on a date and you meet somebody, and 8th date in, you come home and you tell me, I'm falling in love with her. And you've said, April, how would you respond? So I've already had to think through these scenarios and feel that visceral reaction and question, why am I feeling this? And what does that mean? And is that right? Or is that something I need to work through or push through or sit with? And it's brought us to a place where we both love other people, and we're comfortable saying that. And it doesn't feel as scary, and the reactions don't feel as visceral anymore. We feel like we're expanding, and we have a lot of love to give, and we feel more open and transparent with each other.
Yeah, it's a beautiful feeling to know that when you meet new people, that there's at least the possibility that you could grow to love them, because that feeling of love is the most powerful and rewarding experience I think a human being can have.
Yeah.
And we have it in different ways with different people, but I think you are limiting yourself and probably fooling yourself if you go into non-monogamy thinking, I can control my environment to the point where I'm not going to have any potential for that kind of stuff to come up between me and my partner, because it's going to feel really bad when it potentially does happen.
Yeah.
All right, last question. How do you proceed if you and your partner have decided that these new feelings of romance, love, connection, chemistry are really worth pursuing, but you've never done it before? You've been that person that was kind of like no emotions, no feelings, and now all of a sudden you have some. You talk it out and you go, okay, I don't feel too bad about this. What now?
I mean, I don't know that there's a right next step. It's just like our friends, we've been having conversations with them so openly and transparently. I think we share just as much with them that we do with each other. You know, they know all our stories, they know our fears. We've talked through problems that you and I have had openly with them, and vice versa. And so I don't know that there needs to be a specific next step, but you just start opening up and being transparent with the people, your friends that you're going to dinner with, or maybe that you're playing with, and have those conversations, because if you talk about it, it's not going to sound so scary for other people who are also in that same mindset as, oh, I can't catch feelings. That's very scary. It's going to take away from what we have. It normalizes it a little bit and makes it okay and safe.
Yeah, and when you say open yourself up to these possibilities, that doesn't mean just flip the switch and now I'm open to anything and everything no matter what. Do it in baby steps, and then, see if that one little baby step is as bad as you feared. And if it is, get some help.
Yeah.
And back off.
But also,
to a safe space.
We weren't looking for this. We weren't looking to find a couple that we would mesh with so well. It happened so organically. And I don't know what to tell people, because we've had people ask us, like, how do we find a couple like that? I don't know. Just don't discount anybody. Go have dinner with people. We were having vanilla dinner with them long before we were playing with them. Be friends. Be open and be transparent with your friends. I mean, maybe you can't with your vanilla friends, and that's, but the people that you do meet in the lifestyle, start taking an interest in their life and who they are outside of the club or the party.
Well, and I would also say, as just a final recommendation, if things like this come up in your lifestyle journey and you're struggling to deal with it, get professional help.
Yeah.
And it's not a thing that you should be ashamed of. A lot of people have a counselor that they talk to once a month and they have no issues. Right. They're just talking and, staying positive and learning new things. But if you really are struggling with this aspect of the lifestyle or non-monogamy, get professional help. We use Expansive Connections. Yeah. They have a whole team of fantastic
therapists and coaches there.
People, but there are others.
So. And if you just want some non-therapy advice, we do calls also. We do Zoom calls a couple times a month. And you're welcome to schedule one of those with us. If you just want, we've had people that are said we're new to the lifestyle. We don't know what to do. We don't know anybody. What should our next step be? Yeah. We're happy to kind of talk you through it, troubleshoot you, connect you with people that we may know in your area.
Yeah. Sometimes you need professional help, but sometimes you just need somebody that's been on the ground doing what you're wanting to do for a while to just kind of
take the fear out of it a little bit.
Yeah. So we won't give you clinical advice, but we can kind of give you the lay of the land a little bit. So yeah. All right. I'm not sure if we helped or muddied the waters more, but I've enjoyed the conversation, and it really has been important and helpful for me that you and I have sort of slowly gotten on the same page about this emotional component to the lifestyle that we tried to avoid early on.
Yeah. It was a lot more scary for me, I think, than it was for you.
I don't know. It was scary for me too. I don't want to act like it wasn't. It was. So anyway, all right. Well, I've enjoyed it.
I have too. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. And remember to never stop playing.